Hey guys, welcome back to the MC Beauty Brand channel. We talk all things skincare, self-care, and self-confidence. If you are new to my channel, my name is Megan and I am the owner and founder of MC Beauty Brand. MC Beauty Brand is a self-care brand that equips and empowers women to start their journey to self-care. So today's episode is going to get a little heavy. I'm going to get into some things today. Today we're going to be dealing with the root. That is the title of today's message. So I always share this with you guys. I'm very transparent and honest with you on my own personal journey to self-care, self-love, and all the things. And so my goal is to help you, me sharing my process and helping you, throughout your process as well. So as you are on your journey to self-care and self-love, especially if you're doing this thing, you're walking this out with the Holy Spirit and doing this with Jesus, he will start revealing some things to you about yourself. Oh yeah. And the purpose of him revealing those things to you is not to bring you down or to not to um make you feel some type of way, but it's to bring those things to the surface to deal with the root of why you're the way that you are. Oftentimes we react on emotions and we're replaying things that happened to us in the past and we don't even know why we're a certain way, because we really haven't dealt with the root of that thing, where that thing came from. And so today I'm just going to kind of unpack some things that he revealed to me in my journey and the process that I had to kind of go through to overcome those things. One of the biggest things, and I talk about this in some of my videos too, that I dealt with was people pleasing. Oh my goodness. And I know a lot of people can relate to this. I cared so much about what other people thought about me. I would go to the point where I would make up scenarios in my mind of, they think I'm stupid, or, I messed up so bad that, they're talking about me. And I would make up all these crazy scenarios in my head. And I would try to appease people. I would try to get approval, even though, I didn't really want to do anything. They asked me to do stuff. I really didn't want to do it, but I did it anyway because I didn't want to disappoint anybody or I wanted to make them happy, right, at my expense. And so, that, and I lacked boundaries. Boundaries was a huge thing. And that goes along with, asking me to do something that I really don't want to do, but I would do it. Or, if I'm already busy, and I did this a lot with my job, I never spoke up. I would take on, take on, take on. And really, it was really difficult for me, but I never spoke up. And so I kind of lacked those boundaries. I wanted to be accepted. And another thing that the Lord kind of highlighted to me was I had this high functioning anxiety. It was crazy. So high functioning anxiety, to the outside world, you would appear to have it all together, right? You would appear to be high achievers. You would set goals for yourself. You would try to complete those goals, and you're really good at completing those goals. And from the outside looking in, you were the person who achieved everything, right? But internally, you're a hot mess. Internally, you're battling these thoughts that I have to prove myself. And with me per se, me personally, I was battling thoughts of stuff that happened to me years ago when people used to doubt me at my job, when people used to doubt that I wasn't able to win my competitions. I had these doubts in my head, right? And so every time I had a goal or something that I had to do, those thoughts would replay in my head and I would try to prove whoever that was wrong. So I had to do some real deep inner healing, in that area. And usually people with high functioning anxiety can relate. It's like you're like hard pressed to meet this goal and you're hard on yourself and you're trying to get it done. And it's really because you're holding on to something that you haven't released in your past. Another thing that I dealt with was imposter syndrome, where I felt like I was a fraud, like somebody's going to find out that I shouldn't be here. And I had to deal with this a lot at my job. So I've been in recruiting for over 10 years. Okay. Like, I don't, granted, I've been in this industry for a very long time and I still have some areas that I need to improve and grow in. But in my mind, I felt like, as compared to the other recruiters, that I was a fraud. Like, I shouldn't be there. I was at the lowest at the totem pole. And so I struggled with that. I felt like I wasn't good enough in my job. And so all these things I was battling simultaneously, right? And the Lord showed me, like, this is a way to keep you in bondage because you're bound by people. You're bound by what people think of you. You're bound that anybody asks you to do something, you'll jump to do it. You care so much about what other people think that you would almost make yourself sick to prove somebody else wrong. You're thinking that you're not good enough because you're comparing yourself. So all these things were happening, right? And he was highlighting these areas to me and I was like, wow, like it didn't feel good. At the time it didn't feel good. At the time I was like, I didn't know I was dealing with that. And I dealt with it for years, 4 years. And he revealed what the root was. And if you think about it, people pleasing, lack of boundaries, high functioning anxiety, imposter syndrome, the root was fear. It was fear of people thinking that I wasn't good enough, because internally I felt that I wasn't good enough. I had this internal tape recorder saying, you're not good enough. And so in every situation in my life, I was trying to prove that I'm good enough. And so I had to go dig deeper in, where did this come from? And this is a journal prompt for you guys. If you struggle with these things and you struggle with these areas that I highlighted, ask yourself, where did this come from? Why do I feel like I'm not good enough? Why do I feel like I have to prove myself to people? Did it come from my childhood? Was there something that happened to me in my past? Is it something my mother, my father said or did to me? So it's really those deep internal reflective questions that you have to ask yourself to kind of figure out, where did this come from? Why do I feel I'm not good enough? Why do I feel like I'm not good enough? And what am I afraid of? What's the worst case scenario? What's the worst that can happen if I tell someone, no, I don't want to go. No, I don't want to do that. What, they're not going to like me anymore? They're not going to be my friend anymore. Like, who cares, right? And so I had to really ask myself all these really hard questions. And once you get to the root of these things and why you feel this way, it would really help you uncover those things and really start the healing process. Because all of this has to do with self-love. If you loved yourself, there's no way that you would be trying to please other people. If you really loved yourself, there'd be no way that anybody could just come to you and tell you, hey, let's do this. And you're like, okay. No, you're going to have boundaries. No, you're going to be okay with not having that person as a friend. And so I would say, for today's episode, I'll go ahead and stop it right there. In your journal prompt today, I'll go ahead and repeat this. Ask yourself, if you do struggle with those areas, um, ask yourself, where did this come from? Did this come from my childhood? Was this something that happened to me? Was it something that was said? Who hurt me in my past? Was it my mom? Was it my dad? Was it my siblings, a cousin, a coworker? What was it? And I'll give you an example of that. I was working in my job for prior to me leaving and coming to the job that I'm at now. And I had a manager who, at the time, I felt like she was always trying to hold me back, wouldn't really give me an opportunity to work, to really challenge myself and work on like higher level positions. And she kind of wanted to keep me in this box. And, I just felt that I was never good enough. I felt like she didn't think that I could do my job, or I was capable of hiring higher level positions. And so when that situation happened, I had this thought like, I have to prove that I'm able to do this. So that situation carried over to my other job. It carried with me because I'm like, I don't want anybody to think that I can't handle this, or I don't want anybody to think that, you know, that I'm not capable of this. So I'm going to make sure that everybody knows that I'm capable of this. Everybody knows that I can handle it. And so, and with that, came a whole slew of other problems. So I had to really do some deeper inner healing in that, and letting that go, and realizing that, that has nothing to do with me. That was mainly something that she was dealing with personally. And, once you kind of heal, you're able to kind of see it from a different perspective. But when you're, stuck and you're not healed, you kind of internalize it, and it becomes something that you have to deal with. So, and I think the last thing I said was, ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What's the worst that can happen? If you tell somebody no, what's the worst that can happen? Um, and so I'm going to go ahead and stop it right there. This episode was a little heavy and a little personal, but I know that there are a lot of women right now who struggle with these things, and a lot of this internal work will definitely help you kind of unleash or release a lot of the things, and help you kind of walk toward the woman that God has called you to be. But it does require you to do some of that inner healing. So, yeah, so I'll go ahead and stop it right there. And I will chat with you guys next time. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.